حقوقمان را تا آخرین لحظه ها تعقیب می کنیم. دشمنانمان را تا هر نقطه ای از جهان برای احقاق حقوق مشروعمان تعقیب می کنیم. آمریکایی ها باید بدانند اگر به تعهداتشان در برجام عمل نکنند ما برجام را به موزه خواهیم فرستاد.
Exactly where to go to. I want to get to the camp that's outside in the... راح استنى وين فوق الوالدة؟ اي ورا
يعني ودون الطباب
بس متأكد بس الله يحفظك إن شاء الله.
بس أقول لكم شغلة والله عم بسمعنا صيح
انضرب رجعنا اليوم بالأخص اليوم شلون الفعاليات مال الجيش من
جوار محمد هذا جوار
معود مثل
جوار
مولود چاوش اغلو وزیر امور خارجه ترکیه چهارشنبه 2 نوامبر حیدرالعبادی نخست وزیر عراق را انسانی ضعیف توصیف کرد. سخنان چاوشاغلو پس از آن ایراد شد که العبادی به ترکیه نسبت به حمله به عراق هشدار داد. العبادی سه‌شنبه به ترکیه نسبت به هر گونه مداخله نظامی در عراق هشدار داده بود و گفته بود چنین اقدامی باعث تجزیه ترکیه خواهد شد. روابط آنکارا و بغداد در هفته‌های اخیر پرتنش شد. ترکیه برای مشارکت در عملیات آزادسازی موصل از تصرف گروه داعش ابراز تمایل می‌کرد. عراق اما با این مسئله مخالفت نمود.
Smugglers arrange ill-equipped and overcrowded vessels that frequently break down or sink. On October the 25th, aid group Doctors Without Borders found 25 dead migrants submerged in water and fuel at the bottom of another rubber boat off Libya. One rescued migrant was from Nigeria, says that she was escaping the Boko Haram incident.
Not only in Aleppo and Syria, but now we are talking about in Aleppo because the whole hysteria in the West about Aleppo for one reason. Not because Aleppo is under siege, because Aleppo has been under siege for the last 4 years by the terrorists, and we haven't heard a question by Western journalists about what's happening in Aleppo that time, and we haven't heard a single statement by Western officials regarding the situation of Aleppo. Now they are talking about Aleppo recently just because the terrorists are in a bad shape. This is the only reason, because the Syrian army are making advancement, and the Western countries, mainly the United States and its allies like UK and France, feeling that they are losing the last scars of terrorism in Syria, and the main bastion of that terrorism today is Aleppo.
Was die Türkei anbelangt, ist es für mich, aber auch für die ganze Bundesregierung in höchstem Maße alarmierend, dass das hohe Gut der Presse- und Meinungsfreiheit immer wieder aufs Neue eingeschränkt wird. Die Journalisten können sich unserer Solidarität gewiss sein, genauso wie all diejenigen, die in der Türkei unter erschwerten Bedingungen für Presse- und Meinungsfreiheit eintreten. Natürlich spielt ein solches Thema auch in den Fragen der Beitrittsverhandlungen mit der Europäischen Union eine zentrale Rolle. Also die Situation ist alarmierend.
We're the only advanced democracy on earth that purposely tries to make it harder for people to vote.
During a speech at UNC Wednesday, President Obama laid into Republicans for what he and the NAACP call efforts to try and disenfranchise black voters. He specifically mentioned 100-year-old Belhaven resident Grace Hardison, who heard the president's comments for the first time while our camera was rolling.
I want you to think about a woman named Grace Bell Hardison. Grace Bell lived in Belhaven, North Carolina, her entire life.
Con más de 24 millones de votos ya registrados, comenzamos a ver el crecimiento del voto latino y la importancia que tendrá para elegir al próximo presidente. 3 estados reportan el grupo étnico de los votantes, 3 de ellos claves en el camino a la Casa Blanca. En Florida, donde más de 3 millones de personas ya votaron, vemos que medio millón de ellos son latinos, representando un 14% de los votos, es decir, más del doble de lo que vimos en 2008. En Carolina del Norte han votado unas 2 millones de personas, de ellas casi 29.000 son hispanas, un número quizá pequeño que representa solo el 1,8% del total, pero considerando que las encuestas muestran a los candidatos a la presidencia en un empate estadístico, este porcentaje es importante. Y en Georgia, que según el censo es uno de los estados donde ha crecido más la población hispana y donde más de 1,5 millones de personas ya votaron, 23.000 de ellos son latinos, representando el 1,5% del total. Hasta ahora, este es uno de los mayores aumentos comparados con 2012, cuando menos de 10.000 latinos votaron anticipadamente en este estado. Clarisa Martínez de Castro es directora política del Consejo Nacional de la Raza, y dice que la votación anticipada es importantísima.
Es que muchas veces nuestra comunidad latina no ha estado al tanto y no ha podido tomar provecho de ellas. En los últimos años hemos tratado de incrementar el acceso a esas avenidas porque en nuestra comunidad mucha gente no tiene la flexibilidad del día de la elección, ya sea de transporte o tiempo para hacerlo.
Este aumento de votos hispanos pudieron ser buenas noticias para Hillary Clinton, quien según las encuestas goza de una mayor preferencia de los votantes latinos. Pero la información publicada por CNN también muestra retos para los demócratas porque el voto de los negros ha disminuido en esos estados. Hasta ahora, esto es comparado con elecciones previas. El voto de los negros fue importantísimo para Barack Obama ganar a Carolina del Norte y Florida en 2008. Y en esta ocasión, los demócratas quieren ganar Georgia, un estado tradicionalmente republicano, pero donde las encuestas están muy cerradas y los demócratas creen que pueden ganar con el apoyo de los republicanos. Algunos expertos, como Andrew Smith, director del Centro de Encuestas de la Universidad de New Hampshire, dicen que estos números en sí no pueden predecir el resultado de la elección, pero que si la tendencia de la distribución del voto negro continúa, el Clinton pudiera estar en problemas.
Porque en 2008 y 2012 los afroamericanos votaron en mayor porcentaje que los blancos en todo el país, así que una caída de 2 o 3 puntos porcentuales en estados como Ohio y Pensilvania pudiera dar la ventaja a Trump en estos estados, asumiendo que todo lo demás se mantuviera igual.
Este fin de semana es importantísimo para el electorado negro porque es tradicionalmente cuando grupos se organizan para llevar a los votantes a los centros de votación después de los servicios religiosos. Gustavo Valdez, CNN, Atlanta.
To Jeremy Corbyn. Some people ridicule Jeremy Corbyn because of last week. Do you fall into the camp where you think he's a joke, or do you think he's actually a real threat?
I do not find Jeremy Corbyn funny. And I think that it's extremely dangerous for the Conservative Party or any other political grouping to say this party has now taken such leave of its senses it couldn't possibly be elected. Electoral circumstances are unpredictable, we know that from history. This is a very dangerous leader of a very dangerous party at the present time. A party that doesn't believe in NATO, that would abandon our nuclear weaponry, that doesn't believe in most of the accepted rules of our economics. This is a very dangerous party indeed, and we should not at any point stand back from pointing out how dangerous they actually are. And when we thought militant tendency were dangerous under Neil Kinnock, the difference was that Neil Kinnock was fighting militant tendency. Momentum are the Jeremy Corbyn supporters. This time, the extremists have the support of the leadership of the party. And I don't think that's really been pointed out very explicitly. This is a very dangerous movement, and we've got to not hesitate at any opportunity to point out to the country exactly what damage they can do to us.
One of the world's largest economies will soon be an island to itself.
Let June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day!
Great Britain voting by a narrow margin to leave the European Union. Nearly 52% to leave, 48% to stay. One of the instigators of the referendum, UK Independence Party leader Nigel Farage, declared victory.
A victory for ordinary people. A victory for decent people.
But while some were celebrating, others were panicking. In the span of just a few hours, the British pound sunk more than 10% against the dollar, its lowest level in more than 30 years, dragging world markets down with it. Bank of England Governor Mark Carney did his best to calm the situation, saying some market and economic volatility can be expected as this process unfolds. We are well prepared for this. British Prime Minister David Cameron called the referendum in the first place and fought hard to keep the country in the European Union. He says he will not be the man to lead it outside of the bloc.
The British people have made a choice. That not only needs to be respected, but those on the losing side of the argument, myself included, should help to make it work.
Tonight, as investigators continue to search for the lost wreckage of MH370, a new report from the Australian Transportation Safety Board indicates no one was in control of the enormous aircraft at the time of the crash. A detailed analysis of satellite data indicates the plane hurtled downwards, plunging 25,000 feet per minute.
The way the plane spiraled into the ocean, it was not under human control.
There's no way that you could make a plane.
No, you would not. There's no way a pilot could make a plane do that. And it raises the question of whether the pilots were still alive.
The flight, scheduled from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, disappeared less than an hour after takeoff. A log of hourly pings between the plane and a satellite led investigators to conclude the plane crashed in the Indian Ocean. In June, a piece of the plane's wing, called the flaperon, washed up on the coast of the African country of Tanzania. Analysis of the debris shows the wing flap had not been deployed before the crash. Yet another sign no one was in control in those final moments.
You would deploy the flaps by essentially lowering them, and by doing this slows the plane down.
It does. It slows the airplane down.
Bob Hepp, a flight instructor, took us up to demonstrate what MH370's pilots should have done if they planned to successfully ditch the 777 in the Indian Ocean.
We're going to do a landing now, and we're going to deploy those flaps.
We're going to put the final notch of flaps in, and this allows us to descend more steeply slower and more steeply without picking up speed.
The fact that the flaps had not been deployed, what does that tell you?
That either the pilot was not in a position, it was incapacitated, not able to put the flaps down, or was intending to not make the ditching survivable.
Hi everyone.
Following the crash, scrutiny turned to the plane's pilots, including 53-year-old Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. Zahari had a flight simulator in his home and posted videos to YouTube. No suicide note was ever found to suggest he intended to bring the plane down. The new report indicates the passenger plane fell wildly out of the sky. But what caused the plane with 239 people on board to disappear remains a mystery.
First officer shot this morning, Urbandale officer Justin Martin, Eagle Scout, Simpson College graduate, about a year into his career.
He had high expectations of his future, and it's tragic that they cut very short.
Then Des Moines Police Sergeant Anthony Remedios.
He goes by Tony, and he's been with us since 2005. He had prior service at another local police department prior to that. He was promoted last year. Great guy in the department, a good friend of a lot of us, a fantastic family man.
Both were on patrol. Both were sitting in their cars when they were attacked.
It doesn't appear that either officer had an opportunity to interact with the suspect. It doesn't look like there was an exchange of conversation. It doesn't look like there was an opportunity. There definitely wasn't an opportunity for these officers to defend themselves and respond to the attack.
Both were fired upon several times. The Urbandale police chief says Officer Martin's vehicle was fired upon at least 15 times from the side. Before that moment, Martin had no communication at all with dispatch.
Well, that was a puzzling thing about this, is that he didn't get out any idea there was any warning or fear or anything going wrong, that he was going to make a stop or go out with anybody. He was basically stopped and was going to proceed to an intersection when he got confronted by this gunman.
The suspected gunman, Scott Michael Green, is believed to have been on foot when he shot the Urbandale officer. He was arrested about 7.5 hours later in rural Dallas County. Des Moines police spokesman called him a coward.
Based on what I've seen so far, there was absolutely nothing either one of these officers could have done to prevent this.